welcome to the session, the Hindu Editorial Analysis for Proficiency in English. Today's editorial is all about G7 group. When you know that it is about a particular group, you should ask questions like what could be the broad framework, what is this group, when did it come into existence, and the recent summit, what did they decide, what is the communique, and how many countries participated, and what about the role of India, what does the editorial say about the role of India. You have to think of all these areas. This editorial also touches all those dimensions. Let us start with the question, what is the enrichment? As usual, comprehension skill, vocabulary, grammar consolidation, effective English, mini mocks, vocab consolidation. When we ask a question, what is this about? The editor discusses the current state and relevance of the G7 group of seven. There are two dimensions over here. One is the current state. What is its state? The other one, what is the relevance? Because today the world is changing, the dynamics are different, whether it is relevant, not relevant. Good morning to all of you. And G7, what are the countries? If you take the North American continent, you have Canada and the USA. If you take Europe, you have France, UK, Germany, Italy, and from Asian continent, Japan. All the seven, they come under G7 group. What is the tone? The tone of the editorial is a critical and analytical. Two important aspects, critical and analytical. Critical because the group does not focus on the execution of certain problems or resolving the problems. It focuses more on listing out the problems. A particular expression has been used, we have got for the first time. Let us start with editorial vocabulary. The very first one, we got this word yesterday also. Intentionally, I have brought this. We got yesterday the same word. What is this? Communique, part of speech noun. An official announcement or statement, especially one made to the media. When a few countries meet after the summit, after the conference, after the meet, they release a press statement that is known as communique. The president issued a communique outlining the new policies. Sometimes the prime minister, the president of a particular country may issue a communique, and that communique may talk about the new policies taken by the new government. Synonyms: announcement, bulletin, dispatch, we don't consider statement. Bulletin, usually we say news bulletin, an important combination you have to know. Antonyms: withholding, secrecy, not exactly, I told yesterday also. Let us go to the next word. We have got this for the first time. Today's editorial, a few expressions, a few idioms, a few words I have come across for the first time. I've been doing the Hindu for so many years and I've come across this for the first time. Trope, part of speech noun, a common or overused theme or device in literature, film, etc. Sometimes what happens, it may go with politics. Here it goes with polity. A particular expression used many a time. And the common word we use, a cliche. But here we have got a new word. Trope. The hero's journey is a classic trope in fantasy novels. But as I said, you got to be careful with this word, cliche. How do you pronounce that? Cliche. Motive, theme. These two words you have to remember. Originality, novelty, uniqueness. When you see the word unique, you have to recollect the rule. A lot of students think an unique person, wrong. A unique person. What is the reason? It begins with a consonantal sound. Based on that, we have to say a unique person. Novelty means something new. Hail has three different meanings. I think a unique person. Nagesh, very good. Nagesh, you are here. How come? And if you take hail, there are three different meanings. What is the first one? Hailstorm. Sometimes when it rains, you see, no, every day we upload the PDF. All of you do remember, listen very carefully. After the session, immediately after the session, we upload the PDF. You have to join the Telegram group, then you can access the PDF. Hailstorm. Sometimes when it rains, you see small ice balls. Those are known as hails, and that is known as, okay, fine. That is known as hailstorm. One meaning. Second one, look at the example, you get the meaning. He hails from Vizag. Here, what does it mean? Hails from means he belongs to Vizag. Thank you very much. It means he belongs to Vizag or Vishakhapatnam. The third one in this context, but generally we say they have not given the exact meaning of that particular thing. Hail means, in a way, praise. What does it mean? Praise. Hail, to greet or acclaim. Acclaim is nothing but accepting someone's credit or the work and praising them. To greet or acclaim enthusiastically, to call out to someone to attract attention. This is a second meaning you should not consider. In this context, it goes with the first meaning, to praise someone. As soon as she entered the room, her friends hailed her with cheers and applause. In a way, they greeted with cheers and applause. Greet, salute, acknowledge, ignore, disregard, avoid. Simple words we have got many a time. A roll up sleeves. As I said, today's editorial, we have got a few important words, new words, a few important idioms. A roll up sleeves also we have got for the first time. What does it mean? To prepare for hard work, to get ready to tackle a difficult task. Imagine you have an important work, a difficult one, an uphill task. You get ready for that. Then we say you have rolled up your sleeves. An important one. It is time to roll up our sleeves and start cleaning up the mess. Mess means what? It means not properly organized. The room is in a mess. So we have to roll up our sleeves to clean up the mess. But there's one important expression over here. It is time. Whenever you come across two expressions, one is it is time, the other one it is high time. You have to use a verb in the past form. Listen very carefully. One, it is time to roll up. Here we have used the verb in the basic form or infinitive, but if you don't use that form, then the verb should be in the past form. It is time you started your preparation. A lot of people say it is time you start your preparation. Wrong. It is time you started your preparation. It is high time you started your preparation. Do remember the verb should be in past. Get to work, prepare, gear up. Gear up, an important one you have to remember. Procrastinate. If you go to the private sector, the corporate companies, the blue chip companies, the big companies, you come across this word procrastinate. It's a bad habit. Procrastination means what? Postponing things. Procrastinate, avoid, delay. You won't believe in the private sector, especially major companies, blue chip companies, they conduct workshops on how to deal with procrastination. It's a major problem. Let us go to the next one, laundry list. As I said, this editorial we have a lot of new words and new idioms. I have come across this for the first time. Laundry list idiom. A long or exhaustive list of items. Example, the manager gave a laundry list of improvements needed in the office. Means what? Exhaustive. A lot of things to be done. Enumeration also means the same. Catalog goes with business, checklist goes with a different context. Summary, brief list, outline. Lengthy one, a laundry list. Salient feature usually takes the word feature. Most noticeable or important, prominent. Prominent means what? Important. One of the most salient features of the new smartphone is its high resolution camera. This is a typical combination you have to remember. Synonyms, prominent, conspicuous, notable. Antonyms, insignificant, unimportant, obscure. Obscure and important word, though we have got many a time. Not known to many people. Take stock, another idiom, means assess a situation. You have to size up the situation, assess the situation, evaluate the situation, take stock. To review or make an overall assessment of a particular situation. typically as a prelude to making a decision. Means what? Before you try to make a decision, you want to assess the pros and cons, then you take a decision, then you have to take stock of the situation. After the project ended, the team took stock of the achievements and areas for improvement. That's a good thing, one has to do that. Synonyms: evaluate, assess, review. Antonyms: ignore, neglect, overlook. Simple words. Fractious. Usually people mispronounce when it comes to, you have to spend time and you have to practice regularly. See, words, if you take English vocabulary, there are about 8 lakh words. You'll be surprised and shocked to know a typical English man or woman knows only 20,000 words out of 8 lakh. An intellectual, a knowledgeable person knows only 40,000 to 50,000 words. Though it is a mother tongue, they themselves don't know about 7,50,000 words. It's an ocean. And from the exam point of view, you have to learn about 10,000 effective words. Then you may ask me, sir, what is the source? The source is the Hindu paper. How to remember these words? Every day you are bombarded with a lot of new words. Every day 10 to 15 new words. How to remember? One thing, you have to create your own, make your own examples, and you have to create your own word maps, word profiles, and revise regularly. Only then you can remember. If you don't revise all these words, you forget after a week or so. Not at all easy to remember. Fractious, usually TIOUS. People say time is precious, not correct. Time is precious. And the dish is delicious, wrong, delicious. The same way, fractious. Adjective we have got for the first time: irritable and quarrelsome, difficult to control or unruly. Look at the example. The fractious child disrupted the entire class with his constant outbursts. Disrupt we have got many a time. It means what? Interrupt. Synonyms: irritable, unruly. This is an important word. Bank exams have given a few times. Cantankerous means the same thing, but you have to remember that word. Agreeable, cooperative, placid. Placid doesn't go with this context. Placid, usually I give the example. Placid means what? Placid, serene, tranquil. All these mean calm, tranquility, serenity, serene, and also placid. Placid lake, very calm and quiet lake. A serene place, quiet place. I'm looking for tranquility, means what? Peace, very quiet place, tranquil place. A different group altogether. Harness has got many meanings. It goes with youngsters like you. I know a lot of youngsters, they have a lot of potential, a hidden talent. You have to bring out that talent. Then we say, unleash your potential. One important expression you have to remember. The other one, harness your potential. Means take out the potential you have. But usually it goes with natural resources. To control and make use of natural resources, especially to produce energy. Look at the example. Engineers are working to harness solar energy more efficiently. Utilize, employ, exploit. Exploit has two different meanings. One has a positive connotation, the other has a negative connotation. Exploit the resources in a way positive. Exploit someone's weakness, negative, obviously. What are the antonyms? Release, neglect, abandon doesn't go with this context. Abandon means to leave someone or something. Someone is in distress, you don't help, you leave that person. He has been abandoned by his family. Imagine my car broke down, remote area, no mechanic. I abandon the car and I take some other transport and I go to the city. Doesn't go with this context. That is the last one. Let us go to the editorial analysis. New dynamics. Dynamic means change, changing all the time. Some people are very active. We say a dynamic person. He is a dynamic person. He has a dynamic personality. Imagine a particular young girl. A girl is quite active, very lively all the time, and outgoing. There's one idiom. We call that girl live wire. Have you heard of this any time? Ah, very good, Mahesh. Wonderful. Before I turned, you were there with the word. That's really good. Idiom. Live wire. It goes with a girl. Do remember. She is a live wire. Means what? Very active, dynamic, outgoing, social. Very. It's an important one you have to remember. New dynamics on the G7, its identity, its purpose. As I said, there are two dimensions its identity, the current state, and its objective. What is the purpose of this particular group? Whether it is relevant, not relevant in the global present scenario. Main idea G7 must. Whenever you come across a particular helping verb or a model, you have to think of the function. The helping verb must has two functions. One, it means to express a personal obligation or an obligation imposed by the speaker. In this context, obligation imposed by the editorial. The second function, it is used to convey the idea something is compulsory. G7 must review its own purpose in a rapidly changing world. The world is rapidly changing, so it has to review. When it comes to the word review, at the personal level, you have to think of a few words. What are those words? One is introspect. Second, contemplate. Some people think about the past a lot. There are two idioms you have to know. One, brood over the past, dwell on the past. Sometimes what happens, you're alone. You think about your actions, whether what you're doing is right or wrong. That is nothing but introspecting or contemplating. And some people, they spend a lot of time thinking of the past. Then we say, don't brood over the past, don't dwell on the past. And sometimes what happens, you wish your friend, but he looks lost, he doesn't respond, he or she doesn't respond. Then we use a particular word, pensive mood. Have you heard of this any time? He is in the pensive mood, means thinking deeply about something. All these words are very important. Let us go to how it starts. Welcoming leaders of 10 countries, including Prime Minister Narendra Modi, to the G7 Outreach Summit, Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni said it was important to step away from the old trope of the West versus the rest. That's a good expression. West versus the rest. West one side, the rest of the world the other side. You have to keep it aside. Time to move away from that particular trope or cliche. It talks about the summit, welcoming the leaders, Italian Prime Minister, and the leaders among them, the Indian Prime Minister, Italian Prime Minister, Italy Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni said it was important to step away. Here you got to, when you read the editorial, you have to think of grammar, comprehension, vocabulary, effective English, all simultaneously. The moment you see the word said, it's a reporting verb in the past, then you have to recollect the rules that go with indirect speech. Present changes to past. Based on that was, it was important to step away, move away from the old saying, trope, cliche. What is it? West versus the rest. Here I would like to give two important words based on the word West. One Occidental, the other Oriental. Occidental means, that's what? A popular saying, repeated saying, cliche. Initially, I gave the meanings. And Western culture, we say Occidental culture. Eastern culture, Oriental culture. What is the difference between the two? Occidental culture or Western culture is materialistic. On the other hand, Oriental culture or Eastern culture is spiritualistic. Ah, very good, Mahesh. How come? Within no time, I'm surprised and impressed. Good, keep it up. To step away from the old trope of the West versus the rest. That sentiment explained Italy's decision to invite mainly the global South countries, including BRICS notables such as Brazil, India, and the UAE. Keeping that in mind, they invited the global South leaders, among them BRICS, and if you take the countries, Brazil, India, and the UAE, to hold an outreach with 7 African countries on energy issues and to host a summit in the Mediterranean Apulia region. It talks about moving away from that popular saying, West versus the rest. They invited the global South leaders and they organized an outreach program, reaching out more number of people, especially in this context, African countries, to work on energy issues, very specific, and to host a summit in the Mediterranean Apulia region. The G7 was once hailed. In this context, was once hailed, it is in past, means praised, as a dynamic group of the world's most developed democracies, where heads of state would roll up their sleeves once a year to effect real solutions to global financial and development issues. The two expressions you have to focus on. A lot of people say once in a week, wrong. Once in a year, wrong. We should not use a preposition in. Once a week, once a year. But if you mention the number of days or years or months, you can use a preposition in. Once in 2 days, once in 5 years, there you can use in. But once a week, once a year, don't use a preposition in. Coming to the next one, many of our students know affect, effect. Affect is a regular verb. Effect can be a verb, can be a noun. When it comes to usage, we use the word effect as a noun, usually, but sometimes it is used as a verb. Here it has been used as a verb, basic form or infinitive, to effect real solutions to global financial and development issues. However, though once it was active, it was dynamic, it was the leaders of those countries were always ready to take up the issues and think of the solutions at least once a year. Now things have changed. Whenever you see the word however, you have to think of the contrasting information. In the past, positive, now negative. What is that negative thing? However, with manufacturing slowdowns, the COVID 19 pandemic, and the impact of the Russia Ukraine conflict, and Western sanctions, the grouping has appeared more tired and its meetings less effective. Because of all these factors, all these countries known for the manufacturing sector. If you take what are the 7 countries, the USA, Canada, France, UK, Germany, Italy, manufacturing hubs, and the seventh one, Japan. And Japan challenged the automobile industry of the US. Today, if you talk about the automobile industry, once Detroit, a particular city known as the automobile capital of the world, but later it shifted to Japan. Japan gave tough competition to the car manufacturers, the three major companies, the Ford, the Chrysler, and the General Motors. Japan gave tough competition. It talks about that manufacturing slowdowns, COVID 19 pandemic, and the impact of the Russia Ukraine conflict and Western sanctions. What happened? The grouping has appeared more tired and its meetings less effective, obviously. The shaky electoral fortunes of most of the G7 leadership did not enhance that image at the summit. Because of the shaky, they did not get the thumping majority, they did not get the landslide victories. Shaky electoral results could not improve the image. Shaky electoral fortunes of most of the G7 leadership did not enhance. Enhance means what? Improve that image at the summit. The joint communique read more like a laundry list, exhaustive list we have got for the first time. The joint communique read more like a laundry list of the world's problems than it did as a strong call to action on resolving them. Whenever there is a problem, we should focus on the solution. We should try to resolve the problem. But here it looks like the group focused more on coming up with the list of problems, the laundry list, rather than focusing on the solutions. Most salient was salient feature means important feature. Most salient was the G7's continued military budget, humanitarian, and reconstruction support for Ukraine, but with no constructive plan on how to end the war. They are ready to support Ukraine on all these fronts, but they're not thinking of how to stop the war. A Gaza ceasefire appeal has also not been accepted by Israel. Communique talked about Gaza ceasefire appeal, but Israel has refused. Israel has also not been accepted, not accepted. Here it is in present perfect passive voice. The G7's focus on China in the Indo Pacific and on industrial targeting and unfair practices was particularly sharp, but it remains to be seen whether any member country will reduce its own considerable trade ties with Beijing. They also criticized China unfair practices, but many of these countries they have the trade links with China. So we have to wait and see how many of these countries are going to reduce the trade ties with China. That is not going to happen because business is important. A line in the communique that recommitted to about 8 infrastructure corridors, including the India, Middle East, Europe corridor. One particular line talked about a recommitment towards infrastructure projects. One particular corridor, the India, Middle East, Europe corridor, reinforced the lack of focus on executing projects as distinct from discussing. Reinforce means to strengthen. Reinforce the lack of focus on executing projects. Executing projects is very important. Planning is rather easy, but the focus is more on planning or discussing rather than on executing the projects. Given the G7's current situation, India in attendance for the 11th time could well take stock of the engagement's utility. India has attended 11 times. Looking at the present scenario, India has to look at the utility aspect in involving with the group, to what extent it is useful. While the event was an opportune moment for Mr. Modi, now in his third term, to meet with some of the world's top leadership, the meetings themselves did not yield many outcomes. There was an opportunity to meet the top leaders of the world, but nothing materialized, nothing positive happened. Formal bilaterals with the leaders of important partner, the US, and fractious relationship with Canada did not materialize. As I said, nothing was fruitful, nothing materialized. Mr. Modi focused on India's elections as a victory for democratic world, on the importance of harnessing technology and artificial intelligence to bridge global inequalities and on the value of the global south, especially Africa. The stand taken by the Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, talked about victory, recent elections, India's elections, a victory for the democratic world, one thing, and also stressed the importance of technology and artificial intelligence, harnessing technology and AI, artificial intelligence. Why should we do that? To bridge global inequalities and on the value of the global south, especially Africa. It would seem most of these issues would be better addressed in a larger and more representational format such as the G20. While the G7 may wish to review its own identity and purpose amidst a rapidly changing global power dynamic. what it says, the best platform to discuss all these issues, not G7, G20, a wider, a bigger platform. And now the time, it is time. If you take this particular group, G7 may wish to review its own identity, the current state, its identity, and purpose. What is its purpose? Amidst students ask me, sir, what is the difference between first, what is the meaning? The words mean in the middle of something. Both mean the same. There's no difference whatsoever. Purpose emits in the middle of a rapidly changing global power dynamic. The world is changing very fast. So, what is the relevance of G7? It has to review its state, its status, and the purpose. It ends on that particular note. Let us go to comprehension. Test your comprehension skill. Try to answer, try to get all the five correct. Which group of countries was prominently invited to the G7 Outreach Summit? G20 countries, BRICS nations, and African countries hold the second one. Okay, you don't have to go beyond. What is the answer here? B is the answer. Very good. The next one, what sentiment did Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni express regarding the traditional view of global divisions? An interesting expression, easy to answer. Strengthening the West against the rest, stepping away from the old trope of the West versus the rest. Nice expression, easy to remember, interesting too. What were some of the key issues discussed at the G7 Outreach Summit? Key issues, important issues. Space, no. Energy issues with African countries. They wanted to specifically focus on energy issues with African countries. Question number 4. What was one of the primary criticisms of the G7's joint communique? Primary criticism, basic criticism. It ignored the issue of climate change. It read more like a laundry list of problems without strong calls to action. The same wording has been used, laundry list of problems, exhaustive list. According to the editorial, which format might better address issues such as global inequalities and the value of the global south? Which platform, which forum is a better one? The United Nations General Assembly, the European Union, the G20. Editorial says G20 is a better platform to deal with many of these issues. Good, if you have got all the five correct, you should be happy. Let us go to error location. There are three questions. Try to get all the three correct. Read the first one. We are still to start offering this facility to our customers as we are awaiting approval from the board. If you read meticulously, within no time you will be able to spot the error. This is based on contextual awareness as well as grammar knowledge. We are waiting for approval from the board. That means they're not able to offer something. Something is stopping. That is a context, contextual awareness. Based on that, here, we cannot use the word still. What is the appropriate word here? Yet. Yet to start. That's a standard expression. Yet to start, yet to do, yet to complete, yet to come. Because they're not able to, they haven't started yet. Based on that, yet to start. Why? They're waiting for the approval from someone. Very good. Wonderful. This notification had been amended earlier. We would have stopped the transfer of funds. This is purely based on grammar knowledge. One reading, if you're really good at grammar, you should be able to get it within no time. Only one reading, no second reading. There are two clauses. Based on each clause, the tense, the pattern, you can spot the error. This notification had been amended past perfect tense, would have stopped, would plus have plus verb past participle form. This goes with past conditional. Based on that, you have to say if the word if is missing. No, no, no. If this had been stopped, it would have been better. And this is past conditional. Which conditional is this? Past conditional. Past conditional, if clause we use past perfect tense, and main clause we use would plus have plus verb past participle form. An easy one provided you're good at grammar. Having lived in Paris for 2 years, Ramesh understands French reasonably good. This is a common error. If you take grammar as such from the exam point of view, there are two tracks. One, rules and exceptions, the other 80%, and the other one, 20%, common errors. This goes with common errors. Having lived in Paris, no problem, for 2 years, Ramesh understands French reasonably. How does he understand French? We need an adverb, not an adjective. Based on that, what is the right word here? He understands reasonably well. We cannot say good. A common error, a lot of people say, she sings good. Wrong, she sings well. He understands well. No, 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 no. The last word is not correct. Good is an adjective. We cannot use an adjective in place of an adverb. What is the right word here? Well. Here you have four pictures. Try to guess the idiom I have brought for the first time for a change. Each one represents a particular idiom. Try to guess. Here you see an apple eye and huge someone is trying to eat and cats, dogs, pigs flying. Apple pie, no, no. I appreciate your response within no time, but not exactly the same. I'll give you a minute, then I'll show. Ah, very good, Mahesh. Apple of someone's eye. That's right. You got one right. Rain, cats, and dogs. Nagesh, very good. You got another one right. Apple of someone's eye. Rain, cats, and dogs. Over, over. Go to the third one. Pigs fly. Very good. Who is this? Ravindra Nayak. Wonderful. You got the third one. And one more is there. Okay. Let us go to the next slide. First one is apple of someone's eye. Apple of someone's eye, dear to someone, liked by someone. Imagine there's an employee, the manager likes that employee. Then we say that employee is the apple of manager's eye. This one, rain, cats, and dogs. Yesterday it rained heavily. Then what do I say? It rained cats and dogs yesterday. And when third one, bite more than one can chew. Bite more than one can chew. You can chew a little, you can have a little, but you try to have so much. Means what? Trying to deal with something that is beyond your capacity. And the last one, when pigs fly, something not practical. When pigs fly. Very good, I appreciate. You got almost all right. Let us go to the last slide. We got these words yesterday, 5 words. Try to get all the 5 correct. Adherence means what? Allegiance. Ambitious youth, people like you, youngsters like you. Aspiring youth. Shortcomings, failures or flaws. Sway, one move this side, that side, but in the context of the editorial, it means what? Influence. Be overtly, openly. All are important words. ADBC. Five are there. First one is what? Adherence, allegiance. Good. That's all for today. I hope you guys have got enriched. Have a nice day. We'll upload the PDF after the session. Try to access. For that, you have to join the Telegram group. Do remember. Thank you once again.